it's weird how an NHL player's career can go. In relation to the skater, he came to the NHL as not say a role player, but as kind of a number 6 defenseman to Flyers. And as he got older, he found himself back in the minors, and he was a more well-rounded player playing in the IHL than he ever was with the Flyers, and no doubt he played an important role in all the championship teams he played for. So the player that they call Goodenough for the NHL, Larry Goodenough, was a fan favorite in Philadelphia and across Canada for a number of years, and his path to the NHL was quite interesting because it involved superstar trades when he was in junior. It involved multi-sport training, all kind of different stuff. Now, he was drafted 20th overall by the Flyers in the 1973 NHL draft. Now, if you remember the 73 draft, this was before the Flyers won 2 straight cups. He first came to major prominence with Etobicoke of the OMHA in 1970. In 71, he played with Markham Junior B-side and Toronto of the OHA. 72, he played in the OMJHL with Toronto, 38 points in 62 games, and with London in 73, career year in junior, 66 points in 59 games, including 15 goals. Now, like I said, multi-sport training really benefited him. He was involved in track and field at West Humber High School in Toronto. Now, he also played in the OHA playoffs in 71. But get this, ladies and gentlemen, he was traded from Toronto to London with, of all people, Dennis Marouk, in exchange for Steve Langdon and Mark Howe. So three major NHLers in one of the biggest major junior trades of all time. That would be equatable to what you would see in the NHL. Now, he first broke in with the Flyers on February 19th, 1975 against Detroit. What was weird about Goodenough, if you remember his hockey cards back in the day, he wore multiple numbers. 23, 29, 5, and 4 with Philadelphia, and 28 and 5 with Vancouver. Now, he was part of their Stanley Cup team in the Flyers in 1975, played a very strong role for that team. And it'd be best to describe as an all-around defenseman. 6 feet 195. Wasn't the dirtiest player on the ice, but it was very effective with his what he called his area game. Now, he played with the Richmond Robins for parts of 2 seasons before the call-up with the Flyers, and immediately made a difference. He had 12 points in 20 games in 75, 3 goals, and 4 assists in 5 playoff games. Now, the 76 season, you might as well say it was career year. He had a great game against the Russians in that New Year's week game where he bet them 4-1, where the Russians left the ice, the famous Bob call. He had 42 points that season in 77 games and 14 points in the playoffs. Now, 1977 was quite a strange year. He found himself in Vancouver in a very, very interesting trade. Goodenough and Jack McElhargy, who was sometimes his defensive partner on the Flyers in early years, two of the most rugged defensemen they had in the mid-70s, were traded to Vancouver Canucks for big Bob Dailey. Now, from then on, he split the next 3 seasons between Vancouver and the Central Hockey League, seeing his last NHL action during the 1980 season. He eventually signed with the LA Kings on October 1980 and spent a successful 81 season with their IHL affiliate, the Saginaw Gears, winning the Turner Cup, emblematic of IHL playoff championship. Now, he was also awarded the Governor's Trophy as the league's most outstanding defenseman and was named to the IHL's first All-Star team. Now, getting back to 1976, this is what I was talking about, the all-around game. He finished that season with a plus-minus plus 45. Now, the Flyers did return to the finals, but were swept by the Montreal Canadiens in 4 games. Now, Goodenough with those 14 points set an all-time NHL rookie record since broken for most points in the playoff season with 14. So, again, but his game was still evolving, and like I said, we saw him play in the IHL, and that's where the heights of fame came in. But Goodenough was always considered one of the best all-around defensemen that the Flyers ever had in that dynasty years. Now, in 1982, he ended up with the New Haven Nighthawks in the AHL. Now, he was eventually traded along with an 84 third-round draft pick to the Blackhawks for, of all people, Terry Ruskowski. Now, from then on, he played the rest of the 83 season with the Binghamton Whalers and retired following the season. So, a very, very interesting career, the players he traded for, the impact he made, but IHL and a Stanley Cup title within a half decade of each other, shows the championship style he brought to any team he played on. Now, in retirement, he decided to live in Chalfont, Pennsylvania. He also worked as a hockey director at the Bucks County Ice Sports Center, where he conducts clinics and classes to train young hockey players, and this includes skating, defense, shooting, passing, stick handling, and checking clinics, which were held weekly. He also administers and coaches the in-house youth program in the summers. Now, he and Frank Riego, who's the owner of Frank's Hockey House, conducted summer camps from kids looking to enhance their knowledge of the game and to have fun. Now, he also participated as an alumni in the 2012 NHL Winter Classic contest at Citizens Bank Park, and a 2002 game. The tape's on YouTube, quite a bit of members. Again, the major awards: Governor's Trophy, Outstanding Defenseman, IHL 81, IHL First All-Star Team 81, Stanley Cup Champion 1975, Turner Cup champion in 81. Now, just to recap, now this is very weird how it goes. We all remember Ted Harris with the Montreal Canadiens. He was put as a defensive player with the Stanley Cup champion for most of the 75 season, and according to published reports, it was a great team with Harris and Goodenough. He traded off the rookie and the veteran. Now, at the time, he held the record for points in one season by defenseman with 42, and unfortunately, Vancouver left him unprotected for the 79 NHL expansion draft, but was reclaimed as a fill-in after Lars Zetterstrom was taken off Vancouver roster on June 13, 79. Again, he was a free agent to LA, never played for them, and never played for, of course, for Chicago. Now, he was also picked by the 1973, ladies and gentlemen, 15 overall by Chicago in round 2. Now, he also played 31 regular season games for Dallas that went to win the CHL playoff title, but was not with the team during postseason. Now, Izzy has always been dedicated to, again, the alumni style, and anytime he shows up, probably, rumor has it, he has signed more autographs than most Flyers, because the name on the back of his jersey, the famous Bob Cole line where he said, "Oh, he's good enough for me." People remember that, started that game and against the Russians in '76. If I'm not mistaken, he either had an assist or a goal in that victory. I'll have to double check the stats. But I remember that '76 game, and you had Goodenough and McElhargy and all the Watsons and Ed Van Imp. Boys, that was a rugged defense. Henri Dupo. A very, very, you go into the spectrum, you had to pay your dues. But Goodenough was, like I said, he was never a dirty player. If you look at the rough stats, he had a lot of penalty minutes with London in the last season, but later on he was only getting, I think his worst season for penalty minutes was 83 in 1976, which is kind of a Dave Schultz 5-game average most days. But like I said, I honestly think, do you want to get more size with Dailey? And they got the back to the 79 Cup, but they should have kept him, really. And Vancouver wasn't really a good fit. The stats bear out because over 4 seasons, like I said, the point production wasn't there. But also, little trivia, I don't know if most of you know out there, the Houston Apollos were a very popular team in '81, and when he showed up there, there was a lot of publicity in Texas because, a former Stanley Cup winner showing up in Houston, it drew a lot of attention anyway. So, final CHL totals, 85 points, 149 games. Final AHL totals, 129 points in 267 games. And NHL, 99 points in 242 games. And a big 18 points in 22 playoff contests. So, Larry Goodenough, kind of the forgotten star of the Flyers, especially the 75 team. I think, ladies and gentlemen, He was the first inclination of a 1980 style offensive defenseman. He was 10 years ahead of his time. If he would end up with being drafted by Toronto in the 80s, or the Red Wings in the 90s, who knows how many Stanley Cups he would have won. But you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, being such a young man, 1975. Okay. He was only 22, Stanley Cup winner. What a thrill that must have been for him. Lawrence, as we call him, or Izzy. 22 years old and a world champion, boys. It's a great feeling. So that's the story of Larry Goodenough. We like what we're doing here. Give us a like, comment, or subscribe. And don't forget, you're only good as your last game. And if the only game people remember of Larry Goodenough was the Russians in '76, that's good enough for me. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.